Freya's form flickered, a tempest of cosmic energy and unraveling essence.
The energy being sacrificed had bought her a sliver of time, but at a terrible cost. Her very being felt like it was being torn apart, frayed threads in the grand tapestry of existence. He loomed, a silhouette against the dying stars, his laughter echoing the despair of 1,000 shattered worlds. "You are mine now, Freya." His voice, a chilling caress, resonated not through sound, but through the very marrow of her bones.
"The instrument of my grand design. The harbinger of the new dawn."
But within the maelstrom of her disintegration, a defiant whisper, barely audible, began to rise. It was not Freya's voice, but a chorus, an ancient plea from the deepest core of her fractured soul. No, it groaned, a sound of immense pain and desperate resistance.
"Not for you."
He paused, a flicker of something akin to surprise crossing his formless features. An echo, he mused, his gaze sharpening.
"Even in your ruin, you cling to such pathetic notions?" He raised a hand, not of flesh and blood, but of pure, consuming void. "Let us see how much of yourself you can truly preserve when the abyss itself claims you." Violet energy, twisted and malevolent, surged from his palm, aiming directly at Freya's core. It was not a blast of raw power, but an insidious corruption, designed to consume her very identity, to erase the last vestiges of the being she once was. Freya felt it clawing at her mind, at her memories, at the very essence of her consciousness. Images flashed, a vibrant world, teeming with life, now choked by shadow, the creator, bound and pleading, the wooden bird, a harbinger of both doom and a forgotten truth. She saw the energy being, its final act of defiance, its light consumed by the darkness it sought to contain. He had orchestrated it all. Every step, every choice, a pawn in his eternal game. But the whisper grew louder, fueled by the encroaching corruption. It was the voice of the threatened world, a desperate cry for a savior. It was the echo of her own lost hope. I will not be your weapon."
Freya's voice, a guttural growl mixed with the agony of her transformation, ripped through the void. Her clawed hands, still bearing the crimson patterns of her harbinger form, clenched into fists, not in aggression, but in a desperate act of self-preservation. She focused on the single bud that had bloomed from her tear, a fragile symbol of life in a dying universe.
It was the only thing left that mattered.
He scoffed, a sound like grinding asteroids. "Brave words. But you are nothing now, Freya. A shattered vessel.
And I am the one who fills the void."
The violet tendrils tightened their grip. Freya felt her consciousness begin to fragment, each piece a potential new weapon for him. But as the darkness threatened to engulf her completely, a new sensation washed over her. It was not the cold void of his power, but a searing, alien warmth, emanating from the remnants of the embedded shard, now seemingly reawakened by the conflict. It pulsed with a power not entirely hers, a power that resonated with the ancient whisper, the plea for help.
Was this the Creator's last desperate attempt? Or something far older, far more dangerous? He saw it too.
His form shifted, a ripple of unease disturbing his perfect control. "What is this?" he hissed, his arrogance momentarily faltering. The alien energy within Freya flared, not in defiance of him, but in a desperate, primal surge towards the distant, threatened world. It was a beacon, a signal of a different kind of power, a power that threatened his carefully laid plans. Freya's flickering form stabilized for a terrifying instant, her eyes, once pools of cosmic starlight, now burning with an infernal violet glow. He prepared to strike again, to crush this unexpected resistance. But Freya was no longer just Freya.
She was a nexus, a battleground.
And the true war for her soul, and for the fate of all existence, had just begun. She felt herself being pulled, not by his will, but by the alien energy, towards the distant, threatened world. Was she going to be its destroyer, or its last, desperate hope?
The answer hung, suspended in the cosmic void, as he unleashed a wave of pure, annihilating power.
Freya's vision blurred, her consciousness teetering on the precipice of oblivion. Then, just as all seemed lost, a single, piercing crimson light erupted from within her, tearing through the violet tendrils of his power. It was a desperate, primal roar, a defiance that echoed across the cosmos.
But who was roaring?
Freya? Or the entity now awakened within her? He recoiled, his laughter replaced by a furious snarl. Insolent worm, he bellowed, his form expanding, threatening to consume the very fabric of reality. The crimson light pulsed, a beacon of unknown origin, a promise of a power he had never anticipated. Freya's fate, and the universe's, was no longer in her hands alone. It was now a struggle between him, the entity within, and whatever remained of Freya's shattered will.